Games, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship NES. Its continuing mission, to explore strange old consoles, to seek out bad games and review these humiliations, to boldly go where no nerd has gone before.
Whew. Man, wow, next time I'm taking a shuttlecraft. I don't like having my molecules scrambled all over space. Well, anyway, what can I say about Star Trek? It's one of the biggest cult phenomenons of all time, and as a result, there's a whole galaxy of Star Trek-related electronic video games. So much that it overloads my sensory input neurocapacitors. So, let's just check out a few.
First, let's try out Star Trek the Motion Picture for the Vectrix. The Vectrix has a built-in screen and a controller attached. Fascinating. What made this thing unique for 1982 was that it used vector graphics, all straight lines, no pixelation, bright and vibrant. This is the way many of the early arcade games were, but the Vectrix brought it into the home. Only thing, there's no color, but here's how they got around that. Each game came with an overlay. You just slide it over the screen and there you go. I fail to see the point. Anyway, you're just flying around blasting enemy Romulans and Klingons. You can raise your shields to defend the Enterprise, but this depletes your energy, which means that you need to refuel by locking onto your space station. One thing that's incredibly annoying is this loud buzzing sound. It reacts to the graphics. It's caused by a lack of shielding between the ray tube and the speaker wiring. It's penetrating my auditory nerves. I must deactivate this game's power supply. Next up, Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator for the Atari 2600 electronic gaming console. Basically, it's the same sort of game. You're just flying around blasting Klingon ships. You have to touch a certain amount of star bases before you can advance to the next sector. You have sort of a radar screen at the top. You could almost look at this screen the whole time you're playing, so it's kind of like having two different angles. I find this to be an incredibly simple game, but for whatever reason they decide to make an overlay for the controller. Next up, same game, same name, the name which just rolls off your tongue, Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator for ColecoVision and Atom Family Computer System. Like I said, it's the same game, but the graphics are improved. The ships are more detailed, the explosions are better, and your shield, photon, and warp power are all clearly indicated, instead of just having mysterious blocks. Yeah, take that, you sons of bitches. Damn Klingons. Klingons suck my ass.
Alright, what's going on? There appears to be an interference. What's the meaning of this attack?
Ah! Photo nerd!
What is it? You want Genesis? You can have Genesis. Come on, this isn't fair. Come down and fight.
Ah! Photo blah! Gonna chu! Da pho chu!
Well, lesson learned. Don't say anything bad about Klingons. Klingons don't fuck around.
Anyway, we've seen how simple the early Star Trek games are, but as they went on, they became more intricate. And there's tons of them, so let's focus on just one more. Star Trek 25th Anniversary for the NES. To begin with, the music and the graphics are quite good, but my senses indicate a large deposit of bullshit. The storyline involves the Enterprise being trapped in some kind of dimensional gravitation gate, whatever that is. Unable to engage the warp engine, Scotty says that we need to replenish our supply of dilithium crystals. So that's all good, but cut me a break. You're given so much text to read, it's more like reading a Star Trek novel than playing a fucking game. Spock detects dilithium crystals hidden on a nearby planet, so Kirk, McCoy, and Spock all beam down to explore. You're relieved to finally start walking around and doing stuff, but only then is when you realize how astronomically ass this game is. The first enemies you encounter are plants that spit at you. The projectiles are practically invisible, but lethal as hell. You just want to phaser fuck these little bastards to death, but they're almost impossible to hit. The problem is in the walking. You can't go diagonal, only straight up and down or left and right. But you move like you're locked down on a grid. Then you encounter these tiny little worms that crawl all over you. You think because they're so small they won't hurt you much, but no, these things are serious. So anyway, you're trying to find these dilithium crystals, which Spock says is located in some ancient temple. So you talk to some of the natives and they're like, sure, we don't care, you crazy spacemen from the distant future who we've never seen before. Go ahead and raid our holy temple. In fact, they even offer to help make a repellent for the bloodworms in the forest. It's like, hey, you want to rob my house? Here's the key. Most illogical. Only thing, you gotta bring back a shooting flower so they can make the repellent. Shooting flower? You mean these things? So you stun it with the phaser and you pick it up. Now, of course, picking up objects in this game is never simple. You think you just touch it and that's it? But no, you gotta stand next to it, scan it with the tricorder, and talk it over with Spock and McCoy, and then finally pick the fucking thing up. So you take the plant to the witch doctor and he makes the repellent, and once again you gotta pick it up. Shall I add the repellent to our inventory, sir? Yes or no? Yes, of course. Please do. Why would I say no? It's like my crew are out of their minds. Also, they do a miserable job trying to follow you. Come on, how would anybody get stuck on a bush? So we get past the bloodworms, you shoot down some wolf sort of creature, and then have dialogue afterwards. Will it be alright? Who the hell cares? It tried to kill us. Just shoot the fucking things and move on. A ghostly dragon pops out of a hole, and then I'm suddenly interrupted by a dialogue box saying, be careful, Jim, that creature looks like a dragon from Terran mythology. Yeah, thanks. So next thing, you're in the temple. You come to a series of rooms with weird symbols on the floor. If you just try to walk across, you die. You gotta know the right pattern. So before you even get to this room, you gotta memorize the order in which the symbols appear on the wall. So unless you have an amazing memory, you gotta write it all down. And that sounds like fun, right? Why not play a game where you gotta write down cryptic symbols? So many symbol combinations and several dialogue boxes later, you finally get the crystals, and then it's back to the Enterprise. Here it's more like a role-playing game or a simulation game. There's many things to do and many planets to explore. If you're a fan of Star Trek, you'll notice that's pretty loyal to the original series, and if you play it for a while, you might be able to get into it and adjust to its crap factor, not to be confused with warp factor. But for me, most of the time, I just can't figure out where to go or what to do. I tried calling the game a piece of shit, I tried giving it the finger, but verbal and gestural persuasions proved ineffective. Anyway, this part of the game is based on the episode A Piece of the Action, where you travel back in time to 1920s Earth. First, you gotta find a library card, then you gotta get back your lost communicator. You zap two guys, you find a diamond, you exchange it with the shop owner for a marked deck of cards, then you find a bone on the sidewalk and a gumball from some guy with a dog, then you find a hairpin, and then you find a stick. You have to put the gumball on the end of the stick, put it in the gutter, and fish out some coins. Then you talk to a bartender to get Oxmix's phone number. You give him the diamond in exchange for some plates. You take the plates to the police. Use the hairpin and the bone to open up a door, find the counterfeit money, use the coins on the phone booth, give the operator the number, go in to talk to Oxmix about the communicator. He tells you to go to Krako's place. He tells you that Bonehead Malone has a communicator. You go to the casino, you give Bonehead the money, you give him your marked deck of cards, and you get the communicator.
No, I won't destroy it. Maybe the game designers did the best they could under the given circumstances. You hear? You'll have to get your entertainment someplace else. You're a Metron.
Does my appearance surprise you, nerd?
Not really.
You surprise me.
How?
By sparing this shitty game, you have demonstrated the advanced trait of mercy.
Mercy this, motherfucker!
Ah!